the U.S. Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, you're our hero.
Thank you so very much. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Well, it's great to be here in Los Angeles, California, the city of angels.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to all of you. It's especially touching to be here in the month of April as I commemorate with members of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Dr. King's ultimate sacrifice and the context in which that happened. Dr. King literally died fighting for the dignity of work and the dignity of workers. And so when people talk to me about the dignity of work and a work ethic, and there are those who like to moralize about that. And I believe in a fierce work ethic. But you can't talk about the dignity of work without affirming the dignity of workers.
That's right. Woo!
So Dr. King came to Memphis, as you know, and on April 4th, 1968, 55 years ago, laid it all on the line, standing up for workers. There was a local fight involved. And he got engaged in that fight because he understood that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes.
That we are tied in a single garment of destiny, caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So I represent the people of the state of Georgia. I operate at the federal level. I don't know the nuances of this local fight. I'm interested, but I don't know. But here's your assurance from me. What I've been fighting for is the PRO Act. Your right to organize.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your right to fight. Your right to leverage your collective strength in order to get the benefits and the salary that you deserve. Because what we have seen over the last few decades is an assault on organized labor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And people want to be able to call the shots.
Yes.
And not have you be able to leverage your strength. And then they come up with all kinds of deceptive ways of describing what they're up to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm from a right to work state,
Yes.
which simply means the right to get fired without an explanation. They come with all of these tricky ways of identifying something with a name that's the opposite of what they're actually doing. So I've always stood up with workers. I will always stand up for workers. My dad had a fierce work ethic. If you paid any attention to my campaign, you know he woke me up every morning. Said, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. And he poured that into me. And I have taken that ethic with me. But here's what I know is that people don't mind working hard as long as they can participate in some of the prosperity that they've created for others. You know, we don't need you to preach to us about work. Moralize about the ethics of work. And people who do that, usually rather than building things, they're busy playing with money. It's interesting that the people who make the most money in this country right now don't build a thing, they play with money. But we need workers, and we've got to stand up for workers. And so I'm glad we passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill. We need to get our people engaged in dreaming big again, building roads and bridges and infrastructure in our country. I'm glad we passed the CHIPS and Science bill so that rather than have huge parts of our supply chain in dangerous places all over the world, have chips created, and we used to create most of the chips here in the United States. And now part of the reason why you've seen these rising costs and inflation is because of challenges in our supply chain. And so the Science and Chips Act says, no, we ought to be using American workers all up and down the supply chain to build these chips right here. So we'll continue to do this work. Thank you so very much for your voice. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for standing up. During the course of the pandemic, we started hearing a phrase that I had not heard before, certainly not with the frequency with which we all of a sudden began to hear it, essential workers. It took a pandemic to show us what we should have recognized all along, that workers are the ones who keep the country moving. Workers are the ones who stand up for all of us. Well, if you are an essential worker, you ought to earn an essential wage. You ought to be paid essential benefits. And so this is the work that I will go back to Washington and continue to do on behalf of American workers. I won't rest until we pass the PRO Act. And we'll continue to fight. We'll continue to stand up on your behalf, because all of us, as Dr. King said all those years ago, are tied in a single garment of destiny. So God bless you. God bless each and every one of your families. And thank you so very much for coming to Georgia and texting into Georgia and sending postcards to Georgia. It takes a whole lot of hands to flip a state. Knocking on doors at Georgia. I won't forget. And I'm glad that we were able, through legislation, to save the pension that thousands of workers all over the country were about to lose. Had we not won the majority, it would not have happened. And so it matters, and I know you know that. That's why you came. Because you know it matters who's in charge in the Senate. So thank you very much. I'm deeply honored. God bless you. Keep the faith.
You know, we on the spot.